Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to Lunchtime Live, the Knicks recap and reaction show, recapping the Knicks loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. What was that? 109-94 in Cleveland. First time we got an opportunity to see Harden on the team, and another opportunity to see the Knicks offense sputter. So we will talk. It's been going downhill. I was telling Geoff before, let me see, 111 points against Detroit, 108 points against Houston, 105 against Chicago, 94 against Cleveland. We play Milwaukee. I hope we get to 70. You know, it's been a downward spiral offensively. Listen, it's not much listen, we could talk about Cat's 5 shots, and we will. We could talk about Brunson not looking himself, in my opinion. We could talk about Mike Brown and these brick lineups. But it comes down to me, you shoot 27% from three, and that's supposed to be your bread and butter, and 41% overall, you're going to lose the game. Like, it's just really hard. And then Geoff added 11 points in the third quarter. Like, it's just hard to overcome that. So I don't know, Geoff, is it too simplistic to chalk this game up to poor shooting, which can happen, or do you think there's more to it?
Yes. And I say it like that because I think the Knicks are like, I saw on X, the Knicks are like 31-9 when they shoot better than 35% from three on the year, and so whatever's left, like I think what 6 and whatever 15 or whatever it is when we don't. So certainly it's a make or miss league, and yes, when the Knicks shoot well from 3-point territory, they're going to be, they're going to be there, and you're going to have variance, right? Every team in the universe has shot variance, so it's not like you can just say, oh well, this thing. Even the Bostons of the world, when they won the championship and they were bombs away all the time, they had shot variance. You're going to have nights where you have shot variance, but the key is, what do you do as an answer on the nights when you don't have the positive shot variance? And to be honest, to have 40 games where you shoot better than 35 out of as many as we've played is really good. So that is definitely a strength of ours. I think Alvarado is probably taking more than my liking for him because he's not a shooter, but maybe that's just the offense and that's the role that he's designed to play. But, on a night like last night when Towns only shoots the ball 5 times, like, I don't understand. No offense in the world should have Towns with that few shot attempts. Like, there's no way that a team, you can't just chalk that up, in my opinion, to the defense and say, oh, they just defended, they doubled every time. And no, the Knicks were not doing a good job looking for Towns. And then, and we need to get him more shot attempts. But the problem is he had 5 turnovers last night. So if you got to take care of the ball when you get it. And so he had, he didn't miss any shots, but those turnovers are just as bad as a missed shot. And in fact, they're worse because you don't get a chance to get a rebound. Right. And so from that perspective, that was disappointing to see, but I just didn't like the Knicks process overall, period, on offense. And I'll say it lately, I don't really know what they're trying to do. Like, I don't see a ton of movement. I don't see a ton of I don't see where they're trying to free up Towns to get him in the best position possible. I don't know, was the game plan for Mikal Bridges to take 8,000 shots last night? I don't know. He doesn't normally do that. So my guess is no. But, was that just because that's what the Cavs defense was giving us and he was just off? Maybe. But one of the other things that I saw on X that was fascinating before this game was that OG and Bridges are two of the most inconsistent players in the league in terms of their plus minus figures being either +3 or -3. Like they are two of the most inconsistent in terms of that. I think OG was 8th on the list and Mikal was 11th. So, you know, I think you feel that with this team, right? I think that's palpable. We noticed those struggles, and I don't know what it was, but OG looked like somebody took the control chip out of his brain last night, because he was off balance. He was tripping all over the place. Like, he just didn't look like he could tie his own shoes at some certain possessions last night. I was like, what's going on with him? And so it was a lot. It was a very disappointing performance. Like, the third quarter was one of the most horrific shooting displays I think I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we made John Starks in the finals look like Steph Curry, kind of terrible. You know, it was not good, but I'm not going to panic about this. It's one game. I think that, you know, I think Cleveland outplayed us. But, you know, I think there are some positives you could take away from the game, too. I thought we defended Donovan Mitchell pretty well. I thought we did a decent job on James Harden. I mean, Mitchell got to the line probably more often than you would like, but, you know, that's the officials. You can't really control that. I think he got to the line 13 times, but other than that, he shot for a low percentage. You know, I thought Harden didn't shoot a great percentage. You know, that, you know, if you're going to get beat because Dean Wade goes 7 for 5 from 3, then you live with it. Like, I mean, I think that's solid. So I think there are some things defensively that were encouraging about this game. Like, Cleveland didn't really, you know, they scored 109 points, but I thought that our defensive process wasn't terrible. And I don't even.
Jeff, because you covered the entire game. You covered the entire game. So let's break it down. You went over every player, the offense, the defense, what we tried to do. Really, really good stuff. And as you're talking, I'm like, all right, I think I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Oh, that's a great point. Let me see if I can piggyback. And you know my condition, Jeff. I can't piggyback. I can't remember all of the piggybacks. You know,
well, it's like JJ said, long-winded Jeff. I apologize.
So I'm trying. All right. Wow. Where do I? Okay. All right. Let's start with Cat. That was like 8 minutes ago. No, I'm kidding. Let's start with Cat.
Maybe 10. We've only been alive for 7, though.
Right. You know, I still think he's turning the corner. My hope is that last night was a one-off, but I think he got 5 shots. He was 5 of 5, and I get you. He was turning the ball over. But if he's one of your best players, he turns the ball over. That's still not a reason not to go to him. But this is one time where I feel like Cat has to command the ball. This is one time where I feel like he has to go into the huddle, and he can't be like whatever he's like, you know, I'm just going to do what I can to help the team. When I get the ball, I'm going to do no, you got to go and you got to be like, yo, get me the ball. Period. Sometimes you got to have a fight. You got to have an argument. And, you know, you can't be really nice because you're doing it not so you can shine per se. You're doing it so that you can help the team win. You know, obviously they do have 2 7-footers out. Maybe he gets them in foul trouble. You know, maybe they foul him. Maybe he goes to the line. Maybe, you know, I get it. Sometimes they don't go to him, but I think we've seen him over the past, I don't know, few games prior to this, how good he's looking. We can't afford to go back, and he can't afford to go back. He has to command the ball. And, you know, one thing about this team, I remember Kendrick Perkins said this. He said when he was with Boston and they was trying to win the championship, he said everybody was on edge. Everybody was prickly. The coaching staff, management, everybody just seemed to be irritable. Like that's just part of it. You know, so you can't be a nice guy. Listen, you got to get me the ball. And he hit all 5. He did turn the ball over 5 times. I do get that. He hit all 5. You know, one, he went to the line just one time, 4 3-points, 7, points, 7 rebounds. He played, 29 minutes. 5 shots is unacceptable. 5 shots is unacceptable for everybody. If you want to put it on Brunson, it's unacceptable. You want to put it on Brown in the scheme, unacceptable. You want to put it on Cat not calling for the ball, it is unacceptable. And on top of it, it has to stop. Are you serious about winning the championship or not? It has to stop. So
Amen.
I'm not quite sure where else to go with it. But I was really encouraged by what I saw with Cat prior to this game, and with the Knicks process with Cat. You kind of got a sense of, you said, like, I don't know what they're trying to do, but you kind of got a sense of, okay, they're gonna, feature Cat, a bit more. Anything else on Cat? Because I have something to say about Brunson that I think I'm gonna be on a hill by myself.
Okay, I think we are at our best when Towns gets more touches. Like I think that, and this is not going to happen, but I think in an ideal world, he needs to be our top, not our second, our primary shot taker, and let Brunson feed second. And I think that is the best way. And not that I think they're probably about equal in terms of shooting percentages, like overall, of course, their career. So it's not really that thing. But I just think when he's effective and he's active, that opens up the floor for everybody else. And sometimes, and I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'm going to leave that part of one. But I really think that for the Knicks to really be at their best, I think that Towns needs to be more of a steady diet instead of like a fad diet. I guess this is what I'd say about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't agree that he should take more shots than Brunson, though. But I do agree that they should be neck and neck. And if there are times when he does take more shots than Brunson, I think that's fine. Shot distribution is really going to depend on how a team is playing you, and the adjustments you make. Even Mike Brown said, listen, when you add it all up, he's the second best player on the team. He's taken the second most field goals on the team, and he made the All-Star team. It's not going to work out to every game where he's taken 20 shots. I do think they could do more than they're doing so far. But I disagree that he should take more shots than Brunson. And as a matter of fact, I feel like ever since that Indiana game, Brunson has been less assertive. Like, I don't like his game. I don't like, he could take the same amount of shots he's been taking. I'm not saying he needs to put up more shots. He could take the same amount of shots he's been taking. I just feel like that assertiveness and that aggressiveness is just not there. I think that he's lost a little bit of an edge, and he's, all right, this is how you want me to play. And I'm definitely reading into this. This is how you want me to play. This is how I'm gonna play. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna take the shot. If somebody takes one step toward me, I'm gonna pass it out. And as Knick fans, we're eating that up. Oh, that's great. Every time they come, he's passing it to. Listen, in my opinion, if Brunson is not aggressive, he's helping the other team. That's how I feel about it. Because if you're the opposition, you want to see Mikal Bridges taking 29 shots. You want to see OG Anunoby take 29 shots. You don't want to see Brunson take 29. And I'm not advocating. I don't know how to make this point. I think I'm having a hard time making the point. Your role players, you want them to be good enough for 2 reasons. You want them to be good enough to keep the defense honest, and so that they don't crowd your best players, and you want them to be good enough to, it's probably saying the same thing, to accentuate, make your best players better. When you get into this equal opportunity offense where oh, I'm just going to make the right play. If they double team me, I'm going to pass it here. If I'm double teaming them, I'm pass it here. And at the end of the game, that may be OG taking the most shots. That might be Mick Bridges, whatever they get. To me, that type of offense works in favor of the opposition. Because Brunson is the one with the gravity. Brunson is the one that got them on their heels. Brunson is the one getting them into foul trouble and going to the line. That being said, we talked about this line. I don't want to see the Brunson of last year where he's just dominating the ball every time down the court. I don't want to see that. But I feel these last few games, wherever that line is, he's just a tick below it. A tick below it in terms of assertiveness. Because I've seen past first point guards with their feet to the metal, creating havoc, scoring, reading the defense, passing it out, but they are aggressive as well. Brunson, to me, is just looking a little, he's just looking a little off. He's just looking a little off to me. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but wherever that line is,
very lucid there, Queen. I love this point.
Yeah, wherever that line is between dominating the ball and passing too much, to me, he's just a tick below. And listen, coming out of that Indiana game where I felt like things have changed for him, I don't think he listens to Twitter and what we're saying, but he got a lot of heat after that Indiana game for taking the shots he usually takes, but he missed. A lot of heat, ball hog, whatever. And to me, that was the point where Brunson, his energy changed, if that makes any sense. It just doesn't seem like he's the same player since then. And again, I don't want him to go back to last year either, but I do need him to pick it up just a notch. Didn't shoot well last night. 6 of 19, 31.6%. That'll make you pass the ball too. 3 of 7, which is not bad. 43% from 3. If it wasn't for him shooting 43% from 3, who knows? That 27% might have been 19. Might have been 19%. OG Anunoby was 1 for 6. Josh Hart was 2 for 8. Bridges 1 for 3. Shamet 0 for 3. Alvarado 1 for 4. Diawara 1 for 4. The Knicks were a hot mess. But anyway, your thoughts on Brunson last night and of late?
Oh, you put a lot there. That's a really outstanding point. I think so. My question, I guess, is there an ability, or is there an avenue where you can be your maximum assertive, aggressive self, but still be both playmaker and shot maker?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I think that's what you're saying in a nutshell. He's not being his maximum assertive self in either lane right now. Like he's not even, he's just trying, well, I'm not going to take all the shots because I don't want to ball hog, but then I'm not being, I'm not finding, so can he maximize both things? And I think that his teammates kind of were upset with him at that Indiana game too. I don't think it had anything to do with what anybody else said. I think his teammates were like, yo, Jalen, you got to at least let somebody else touch the ball. Because it wasn't that he shot. It was that nobody else even sneezed on the ball. It was so far away from him. You know what I mean? And so I think that was part of it. And so, yeah, I think that's part that is definitely true. And I think it has been noticeable. But in the second half, I just what are you doing, Jalen? I just didn't like the way that the offense. I mean, he struggled with they pressured him full court, and he just struggled to get by his man and get into the spots that he wants to get to, even and like that. And that's not usually something we see. Usually, he can get to the spots that he wants on the floor, but I thought he even struggled to do that last night. But
I have a question for you, Geoff. Okay, finish.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Can he only play one way? Can he
Maybe.
only play one way? And when he tries to play differently, he's not his best self. I just wonder because there are some players in the league that are like historically, not maybe not necessarily now, but historically where they can only play one way, and you try to get them to play a different way, they're just not as effective. I just wonder.
I think that's a fair point. And so if that be the case, then the Knicks have to make a team, build a team around. They have two choices if that's be the case. They either have to change the roster to make that fit, like that you just have a bunch of guys around him who are going to be, maximize that part of his game, or you have to find somebody else, right? Those are your two choices. Like if you want to win, and he's impliable, he's inflexible in his game, then you either have to build around him and say we can maximize our roster with him being this way, and that's going to be our aim and our goal, or we can say, well, we can't win that way, so then you have to do something else. And I don't think the Knicks are ever going to do that, by the way. I think he's the safest person in New York since Clyde Frazier. Well, that's a bad example. He got traded too. But, but in his prime, let's just say, he's not going anywhere. But it's an interesting conundrum. Is that the only way he can play? And then how do the other players figure out their proper roles without him, around him to make the team go best? But what we do know also, and I'll say this in defense of Brunson, is he's a playoff riser, right? He's a guy who he elevates his game in the playoffs. There's not like you can't. You can hate on Brunson. You're not hating on Brunson, but people can hate on Jalen all they want to. But he is a definite playoff riser, and I don't think that's any. He did it in Dallas. He's done it in New York when the stakes get higher. He plays better, and you want to say, well, he had a tough series against Indiana. Okay. I'm not going to argue with that point, but in general, when we've seen his playoff arc, I think he's been a better player in the postseason than he has been in the regular season. Every single season he's been a Knick. And I think that you see that in the results because we had to get out of the first round and we weren't doing that before he got here. So, I think that there's a direct correlation to those things. So, but Jalen's got a lot to prove, right? I mean, the Becky Hammonds of the world said he's too small to win a championship, and the way that he plays isn't conducive to winning a title. Well, it's put up or shut up time, right? She's either going to be proved right or proved wrong, and right now she's right.
I think if Brunson is going to continue to play the way he's played over the last few games, and I'm not talking about efficiency, I'm talking about process. We need somebody better than Cat here. I just feel like if this is going to be Brunson like taking like a big step back, yeah, I think we're gonna need a superstar in here in my opinion. But I do want to highlight Anagrill One's point. Appreciate you rocking with us this afternoon. I don't mind Brunson dialing it back some. It's just not natural for him to play make purposely. Give him some time to balance this out. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to balance it out. I mean, he has to be, in my opinion, a bit more aggressive, a bit more assertive, put more pressure on the defense, and then respond to what they're doing. That's what I see. Like, they're on their heels, and depending on what they do, you either going to score it or you're going to pass it. I just don't get the sense that he's putting the opposition on their heels. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'll watch more closely the next game. And Jamrock always says, and he doesn't get into the offense quickly. The half jog into the offense annoys me. I hear you, Jamrock. I do think everything about Brunson annoys you, though. Do I have that right? I get the sense that he's not your guy, though. I think the criticism of Brunson by you has been fair. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, let me know in the chat. Where's Brunson? Where's Brunson on your list? Your guy because he's my guy that needs to get better. Cat is my guy that needs to get better. But for some people, Brunson is just not their guy. Cat is just not their guy. And I get it. I get it. I think the criticism is fair.
But I will say this about Jalen too. I don't I don't think Coach Brown does him any favors when he puts him on the floor with Sohan and Janet and Mitch and who was the other guy out there? Another non-shooter. You know what I mean? Like that lineup needs to go away. I don't understand why you have Brunson and non-shooters around. Like Shamet is your only other offensive. That doesn't work. Like no. Like, I don't ever want to see that lineup again. You got to play Sohan. I don't have a problem with that. I prefer Diawara at this point because of his shot-making ability. He's not as good a defender in my mind, but he's good enough that he's more of a two-way player, which I think this lineup needs. I hate the specialized where we've got the all-defensive lineup. That's the Bam squad offensively and the all-offensive lineup that can't, it's a traffic cone all the way around. It seems like we can't get a balance. But if you're going to play Sohan, play him with 4 shooters around him. Like, try and, use him as a tool defensively and make it where you can, like almost like you do with Josh Hart when he's at his best, right? Because Hart's a world's better shooter than Sohan. So I don't want anyone to mix my words on that because Hart's a much better player. But if you're gonna play Sohan, and I don't even know that you have to, like he's end of the bench guy. You don't have to inject him in this lineup for any particular reason. You've got to. You can't just put him all around with a bunch of non-shooters because that makes Brunson really easy to defend. And it was in those minutes that it felt like the lead went back to 9 from like 4 or 5 or no, it was 2 at points at one point. We had gotten back in it because Mitch had that really big stretch where he really was getting offensive rebounds and dunks. Like we had like 6 points, I think, in the second quarter, and which is weird. And then it seemed like we went to that lineup with no shooters on the floor and it just, it let go of the rope enough to where they were comfortable at halftime. And then we didn't make a shot in the third quarter.
Yeah. So I don't think we talk about this enough. Lineups matter. Lineups matter. Now, I would have to go back and watch the game and look at it closely. Actually, the last few games and look at it closely to figure out if the lineups were the difference in the game. Right? But our offense has not been great since the All-Star break. And I think we did have one. Maybe we had a decent game. No. We played Detroit coming out of the All-Star break, right? We haven't scored more than 111 points in the past 4 games. I mean, it's only been 4 games. But you wonder how much the lineups have to do with offensive flow. How much the lineups have to do with spacing. How, you can crowd. If you in there, I saw a lineup. When I'm watching the Knicks game where I'm at, I'm watching it from 12:30 to 3 in the morning. So maybe I was like dozing off a little bit, but I could have swore I saw Sohan and Mitchell Robinson. Did I see a Sohan and Mitchell Robinson?
And Alvarado. That was the lineup I was talking about. It was Sohan.
I was like, what are we doing here? And I'm not, I don't want to be too critical of Mike Brown because he has more information than I have watching from the living room. Right. And maybe he felt like at that time he needed more defense over off. Like, I don't know what's going into his decisions. But these bam, brick lineups is just not like, is it defense? Is it rebounding? Like what is it that he's trying to get out of those lineups? I just don't get it. And Sohan, he might as well don't even play. He come in for like 30 seconds and he's coming out the game. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not sure what that's about. Anyway, I have concerns about the Knicks defense and, offense, excuse me. Maybe it's short lived. Maybe it can't be because they're trying to work in Sohan. You know?
No. Those are small.
Yeah, that's what I'm
like
saying.
a couple minutes,
Right.
but
Yeah, or is it Alvarado? Like, and I will say this about Alvarado. He's like two sides of a coin. I love the fact that he's a real ball handler and he's a real point guard. And I love the way he handles the team. I love his decision making. I love his grit. I love all of that. But you gotta knock down a shot here or there. Got to knock down a shot here and there. I think since he's been here, he's like maybe 10 for 687. I mean, like
and 8 of those were in one game.
Right, exactly. So I don't know, but lineups matter. You can make it easy for the team, you can make it harder on the team depending on the lineups. Yeah.
And I think
go ahead.
I think we over rely on Shamet at this point. Like
I
there are nights like last night where I didn't think Shamet should have been on the court as much. He was worthless last night. He wasn't good defensively. He wasn't making shots. And not anybody was playing well, I guess, because it's like I say that, but then Mikal had a bad game. OG had a bad game. Alvarado wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great. But so almost all of our guards had a bad game at the same time, and that is a definite recipe for disaster. But that's not the team you should be having bad games against. Like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell is probably one of the weakest defensive backcourts you're going to see in the league. Like that shouldn't be the game where you're having ultimate struggles making shots. So it was puzzling for me. What did you think about Shamet last night?
I agree with you, but it could have been gravity as well. It could have been, if you're gonna take him out, I guess that's more minutes for McBride is not there. Do you throw Clarkson in and see if you can get something out of him? Do you just play Bridges at the 2 and give him more minutes? Do you play Diawara a bit more? So I guess there's some things that he could have done. But I will say this. You can't just, when a player was playing well, they're playing well, and when they're not playing well, you sit them on the bench. Like there has to be some trust that the next shot could be the shot that turns it around. And I used to have this conversation with Ajay all the time last season with Cat. Cat's not shooting well. We need to take him out. I said, okay, we take him out. Our average height is 6'4". He's still rebounding for us. And coaches believe in their players. They believe that next one is going to go down and turn everything around, just like players believe that. So you don't want to get into a situation where you play well, you stay in, and if you're not playing well, I'm taking you out. You could do that sometimes, you definitely, but it can't be, it can't be a habit. Shamet, I think he's been good for us overall. Last night just wasn't one of those games, Geoff. This just wasn't one of those games. And I don't get the sense that Brown is like real tight with it. Like really managing, like, okay, we were down 4, now we down 8. Timeout. Let's change the lineup. Let's do this. Let's change the lineup. Let's change the scheme. Let's do this. I just get the sense, and I could be totally wrong, he's just gonna let them rock and figure it out. Let them rock and figure it out. You're struggling. Here's Sohan and Mitchell Robinson to help you out on the offensive end. You Yeah. Anyway. Anything else about last night? OG was a hot mess last night. To your point, 2 for 9 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3-point line. And listen, this is the thing with OG. He has really good games, and he's looking like all-star material. And then he has other games, and everybody's entitled to a bad game. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it's a roller coaster with him too. 5-6 games, really good. Bam. Crash to the bottom. Then another 3-4 games where he's doing, fairly well. crashed, to the bottom. I mean, I don't know. Let me know if you feel like I'm being too hard on OG Anunoby. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. Josh Hart 4 for 11, 2 for 8. Everybody was basically a negative, except for everybody was a negative that played over 5 minutes. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so the garbage time crew.
Right.
The cleanup, mop-up duty was better. But no, I'm wondering if that toe injury is bothering him still. Like, I wonder if that's preventing him. Because I don't know. He didn't look great against Detroit. I haven't really seen him just be amazing since he came back. So I'm not sure what it is. And you know how sensitive he is. Like, he has to be 100% better usually to before he wants to get back in the lineup, or at least that's his reputation going back to his time in Toronto. So yeah, he did not have a good game last night. And here's the thing, and Darlene Bryant said it best. Nobody really played well last night, and so when you can survive if OG plays well, if everybody, if Bridges is picking up the slack, if Hart is picking up the slack, but if OG has a bad game, Hart has a bad game, Bridges has a bad game, and Brunson has a bad game. Well, if they're all going to have a bad game at the same time, this is what's going to happen. And so, and so I don't think that you can expect that moving forward. Like, I don't think they're going to crater all at the same time all the time. I think that, as unfortunate as it was not the best day to have that happen, but it happened. And, I don't know, do they play Milwaukee on Friday or something? I think it may just be one of those cases where you chalk it up as a bad game and you go into Milwaukee and you take care of business, because we've got a tough stretch here. We're 9 of 11 on the road in the midst of this, I think, including that. So we've got, and including a West Coast trip. So we got San Antonio and Oklahoma City, if I'm not mistaken, in addition to that. So we've got a lot of hard games, proving ground games ahead of us, and we're going to need those guys to step up.
Yeah, for sure. JJ, the inconsistency of Mikal and OG is frustrating. If we fall short in the playoffs, I'm okay moving both of them. I think there's going to be major changes on this Knicks roster if they fall short of the Eastern Conference Finals. I would almost bet on that. And somebody said something that about Mitch being in. Okay, here it is. I think this is it. Robinson had 11 points and 15 rebounds in 19 minutes, handling Allen. Why was he not on the floor more? I don't know. Maybe it came a point where he felt like he wanted more, more offense. I don't know. I can't,
I'll tell you what, one thing I like about Alvarado is he threw that lob pass to Mitch.
Mitch had 8 offensive rebounds.
Whew.
Wow. 8 of our 11 offensive rebounds last night. When he sees Cleveland, blood in the water.
Yes, amen. Yeah, he loves to see this. But I tell you what, Queen, just off topic a little bit. But I knew right from the get-go we were in for a bad night. I saw those creamsicle color-looking uniforms and that orange sherbet-looking court, and then I had to listen to Reggie Miller. I muted him, but I mean, Reggie Miller on the call, I don't like listening to the game muted, but I can't stand him. So I was like, already before tip-off, I'm already 0 for 3. Like, what? Because when it's on Peacock, I can't watch it on League Pass with the Knicks broadcast. It won't let me. So yeah, not a good experience. And also, I don't know if you've watched games on Peacock, but it's like watching NBA Jam. Like they have this thing where they show the arc of the ball, like on the shot. They got the thing in the corner, and they've got the names on the side. I'm like, I just want to watch the basketball game. I don't need all like it's too much for my old head to gather. Like, stop with all of that stuff. It doesn't enhance my viewing experience. I want, just show me the game. You don't need all that technology stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Shout out to Vaughn Allen, and then we'll get to the the rest of the chats comments. When this team doesn't hit shots, this team hasn't found how to win the game between the margins. Tibbs was a stickler for not turning the ball over and hitting free throws, control the controllables. I don't think this team goes to the line a lot. They got to be in the bottom 15 in free throw attempts.
If you're going to shoot 43s a game, you're not going to get a lot of free throws. Like, that's just like,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If your bread and butter is perimeter shots, it's tough to get free throws. You want to get free throws, you go into the attack the paint. Now, part of that problem is that Towns gets a terrible whistle. Like, he should be at the line. Like, Mitchell had 13 free throws and Towns had 1. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you broke down each play about how physical they're allowed to get with each player, I think you would find a sharp disparity between the contact that was allowed with one and with the other. And you could say one's a big and one's not, but that, if it's a foul, it's a foul. Like, call it. Like, I will never understand that.
Yeah. Cav shot 42.5%, 37.1% from 3. We talked about it. The Knicks 41%, 27% from 3. You're just not winning. You're not winning that way. They were +5 in turnovers, 16-11. They had 11 of them in the first half. To their credit, they only had 5 the rest of the way. Points in the paint, the Knicks were +4, actually. Second chance points, -1, fast break points +1. I mean, those things I thought were relatively even. The biggest lead was 20 by Cleveland and only 2 by Knicks. And I think that's when the Knicks it might have been the first basket of the game. When it was 2-0.
It probably was.
And our bench was +3. Wow. Hit him up. Come on back. Hit him up. He said, I'm not watching no more Knick games until the playoffs. I'm sick of this. It has definitely been a roller coaster in terms of expectations, right? They get on a good roll. You're like, there we go. There we go. This team looks like a championship contender. And then they'll lay some eggs and you're like, I don't know what the hell is going on. We need to blow this roster up. This ain't it.
And sometimes that's in the same game, like the Houston game was.
Facts. Yeah, he said wants to know how many turnovers did Brunson have? Brunson, 2 turnovers. Cat had 5. Shamet had 3. Hart had 3. Yeah, in the same game. I think we can hold some solace in the sense that we kind of got a sense of what their ceiling is, and it might even be higher than that. They just can't live there. They're just not at the point where they are living at even near their ceiling on a consistent basis. They're just not there yet. And I'm hoping by the end of the season they round into shape and they will be there by the time the playoffs start. That's what I'm hoping. All right, let's get to some of this, get some last words, and get out of here. Dwayne Dennis, someone needs to inform Jalen Brunson that the Knicks will not win diddly if they continue to shut out Cat. Even MJ needed Pippen, S. Kerr, C. Hodges, R. Harper, Rodman. Yeah. Bill Cartwright. Yeah. Got you. Efson, 6897. Brown prioritizes the wings and not Cat. He thought it was a horrendous coaching job. I will say this, though. It's hard to tell watching the game how much of it is coaching decision. Well, sometimes it's hard. How much of it is coaching decision and how much of it is lack of execution on the player's part. Yeah. Sometimes it's not easy to tell.
¿Por qué no los dos?
JJ playing. Say that again, Jeff.
¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both?
Right, 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 right. JJ, playing Sohan with Mitch is criminal. Do we want to score? Yeah. Salute, Nick Nation. Miss you, man. I know it was you were on the show last Thursday. It just seemed like a long, long time. Okay. Dwayne Dennis, Sohan isn't the answer, and neither is Alvarado. Well, are they supposed to be the answer? Or are they supposed to be a piece? Right? I mean, if you want to say Alvarado is not the answer as the backup point guard, okay, remains to be seen. But I do hear you. Sohan is a spot duty guy, so I wouldn't put too much stock in him. Geoff, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think that Alvarado is not the answer, but I think he is a solution to some of the things that ails. Like I like what Alvarado does in terms of his point of attack defense, his ability to get in the passing lane and create havoc and steals. He's really been able to get into the paint better than I thought he would too. I think his handle is really tight. It's really good. He throws a lob pass effectively to Mitchell Robinson, which is nice. That's a weapon we haven't had in our bag, and I think it's something that we can exploit, especially if you're playing Robinson off the bench, which I think is his proper role. I think you could get, 4 to 6 points per night doing that, which if you can get points when Robinson is on the floor, that's, as many as you can get as a bonus, right? And I think you can do that without necessarily having, a ton of shooting around him, although I would prefer it. So I don't know. Alvarado, if you're coming in expecting Alvarado to be a starter level player and like a true difference maker in that sense, a guy who's going to close games, then I think you're going to be disappointed in him. But if you're thinking of him as a role player and a reserve who can come in and fill the Deuce minutes while Deuce is out and give us positive impact on the court, I think that's something that he can do. He wasn't great last night, but none of our guards were great last night. The only 2 players who played halfway decent were our 5s, and everybody else was really bad. So,
Yeah, and I think even when Deuce comes back, I think, listen, if you can play him and Brunson together, you could play him and Deuce.
But when
together.
Deuce comes back, then you can have a shorter hook on Shamet, though. In other words, if Deuce is here, then you don't have to play. If Shamet's having a bad night, you can just play McBride, and then you don't have to worry about it. Right now, without Deuce, when Shamet struggles, who's soaking up those minutes? That's a point that I didn't think of in my frustration, but it's a valid one. Like who are you getting to fill that role off the bench? Like there's without McBride, there's not, and other than Alvarado, who else is going to do it? And so your options are kind of limited from that standpoint.
And Brown loves Shamet. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out when Deuce comes back. I mean, I'm pretty sure Deuce will be in the rotation. I don't think that's a question, but I think Shamet is going to be in the rotation for infinity.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I mean, all right, JJ, we're going nowhere with guys like Hart and Bridges getting more attempts than Cat. I will add, we're going nowhere fast. Like we're going nowhere fast. Nick Nation said Cat had opportunity to shoot more than 5 shots. He chose not to be aggressive enough to take command of his opportunities when he got the ball. I saw some of that. Absolutely. Yeah. Old head for the win. Brunson looked like he heard fans saying he plays too much hero ball and is now looking to pass more. Okay. We need both. We need that balance. Kim Doc, appreciate you, sis, rocking with us. The best thing for Cat in the offseason is to be traded somewhere where they will value him as an all-star player. Josh Hart, who do you think you are? Yeah, there was one possession where Josh Hart was on the right wing, Cat in the post. He swung it to the other side to OG Anunoby for a 3-point shot. I don't remember if he hit it or not, but I'm like,
He didn't hit it. It's OG. OG didn't hit the
oh,
front side.
right. I'm like, what was that? Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Is Brunson not capable of realizing when his shots are not going in tonight to try to get in the paint? They were packing in the paint. And I think that was part of the issue as well. When you get into the paint and you draw the defense, now you're getting wide open looks. If you're not getting into the paint, those shots, if they're not heavily contested, they're more contested than than you're used to. So,
I saw a lot of pass
kudos
possessions
to
from the
them
Knicks
for that.
overpassing though too. Like they'd have an open three and they would, kick the ball around and then it'd get blocked or out of bounds or something like that. And then you're trying to shoot the ball with 0.3 of a second left on the shot clock. I saw at least 3 or 4 of those possessions last night too. So very confusing night on offense for our boys.
Yeah. Knick Nation, I will give you our biggest issue that makes us struggle in this current system. We are running Mike Brown's system, but moving it at the Tibbs pace. This will cause our offense to stall consistently. Yeah.
But I
just don't think it's
high-paced players. Like, is Towns a high-paced player? Is Brunson a high-paced player? I don't think
that's the point I'm trying to make. Yep, exactly. And so you try and that's why they'll do it for a game or two and then they'll go right back because that's just not who they are. And maybe, Mike Brown is just trying to push something on them that they're not built for. That they're not built for. And maybe the other players are, but your 2 best players aren't. Yeah, I did hear that. Cat and Hart are saying that they're still trying to figure out the offense. I mean, we got 0.6 games left in the season, and they still trying to figure out the offense, Oh, boy. All right, let's see if I can find somebody. Okay. Greg, appreciate you. It's almost like the entire team was hating on Towns and nobody wanted to pass to him. I saw some plays he was calling for the ball and they didn't pass it to him. And you could see he was frustrated. Okay. And maybe it was at that point where he said, you know what? I'm just going to go with the flow. Maybe. Somebody else would have went to the sideline and looked at Hart and said, who the F do you think you are, yo? You know what I mean? And they would have had a knockdown, drag out argument over on the bench. Jerrell, we have 2 players that can score 25 points a game, yet the offense is the problem. Sounds like a coaching issue too. Yeah, I just don't think Mike Brown has been able to. And listen, this is the second coach that hasn't been able to optimize Brunson and Cat. So maybe they're just not. Maybe they're a good fit theoretically on paper. Maybe they're just not a good fit in the games, right? Because we haven't seen it under 2 different coaches. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
Shout out to Uncle Fulio, Josh. We've been missing you, man. I know you've been busy with work and stuff. We'd love for you to come on Thursday if you have time. Your NBK family for sure, and your takes are always welcome, my guy. It's good to see you in the chat. We appreciate you hanging out with us this afternoon.
For sure. Open invitation. Lonnie Meeks, yes, Cat has to call for the ball. If that was Julius, he would clap his hands and demand the ball. Yeah.
And we'd be complaining about it.
Right. Remember, whoever would bring the ball up, he would be running beside them like, over here, over here, over here. Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. Kim Doc, I miss Deuce. Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Cat has to be your number 2 behind JB in the playoffs. When you're banking on Bridges or OG, I got a bridge in Brooklyn for a good price. Hit him up. This is why I wanted a young coach like Johnny Bryant. Yeah, I just don't know when you go to the Eastern Conference Finals, you bring in a first-time head coach. So I do, and that's an interesting point. The Knicks wanted to go with someone with experience, and I was definitely behind that, going with someone with experience. But yeah,
So you're going to see that inconsistency with a rookie coach automatically, right? Because you have to learn how to be a head coach. Like I almost, it's very rare that you get a guy in there with no head coaching experience, that it's just like a seamless transition. So I think you're going to have inconsistency problems either way. You want to argue that Mike Brown is not the way to go. I'm not going to push back on that too terribly much, but I don't know that Johnny Bryant would have been the Nick whisperer and we would be like 41-13 if he was on the sideline. I don't think that would be the case.
yeah. Shout out to Josh, formerly known as Uncle Fulio. Mike Brown is a lame duck coach. Wow. I don't think the front office wanted him in the first place. Didn't make sense for the Knicks to go from vinegar to honey. And that's very interesting, and because Tibbs was one of those coaches that left a bad taste in your mouth if you weren't in his circle of trust. We're hearing reports that he wouldn't even talk to some guys. And shit, that's maybe what the Knicks need right now. Keep them on edge. You know what I mean? Everybody la-di-da-di, la-di-da. How you doing? No. Damn it. We got beat by 15 points last night. And we didn't look well. We didn't shoot the ball well. You know? I would be shocked if Mike Brown doesn't return next year. I would be shocked. Even after a first round exit, I would be a little shocked. Because I would think, wouldn't you, Jeff, that you got to give him an opportunity to get some players in here that kind of fit his system. Though Mike Brunson is your best player, and I don't know if Brunson fits his system. What's your thoughts on that?
Context matters is all I'll say. Like how do we look in the, like, I think there are expectations that this team is going to at least get as far as they did last year. And if they don't, I think that you've got a couple of choices. Either you can blame the coach, which they did last year, or you can blow up the roster. You may do both. And so I think I wouldn't be comfortable if I was Mike Brown. I tend to share your sentiment that I think the Knicks will try and be patient with him. But if things go off the rails and they lose in the first round, or if they get embarrassed in the second round, I would not be confident that he's coming back.
Fair. Because Dolan, and I don't know him obviously. He just seems to me to be impatient. It just seems to be impatient. Like, we was right there and we didn't win it. You gotta go. Now we supposed to be in here. He handing out basketballs in front of the garden, and on WFAN. Yeah, we gotta go to the, and then you don't. You're right. He might pull the trigger. He might. Still Knick fans. What's up, Ron? What's good, Knick family? Salute to the chat. Jeff, welcome back. Steph. I'm still away, but the show must go on, Ron. The show must go on. Oh, also, if you guys were subscribed to me on X, my account got hacked twice. And they said they couldn't identify me. So I had to create a new account. Like, the hacker is getting more protection than I am, but that's another, like, the worst, and I mean the absolute worst customer service is X. All of that money, and I think they got 2 people back there working. You tell them you get hacked, they get your email. We'll get back to you in 2 to 3 days. I'm like, that is the worst customer service. Period. Hopefully, this account won't be wiped out after after I said that. So I have a new page. It's at DopeSoulSports. So if you were subscribed to at BKSteph33, that's no longer my page. The hacker has it, including my premium subscription that I can't get back. So anything coming from that page is not me. I'm starting over at Dope Soul Sports. So if you can, go to X, give me a follow. I have to create my base all over again. All right. Sherwin, appreciate you always rocking with us. Good afternoon. What I see as an issue is player rotation. You can't have Mitch, Sohan, Jose, Hart, and Shamit. That is all defense and no offense. And if Sherwin is saying all defense and no offense is a problem, then it is a problem. Mm-hmm. Josh, I disagree. Steve Kerr and Ty Lue were first-year championship coaches. Yeah, I hear you. At G_19S, let Brunson be a shooting guard like back in Dallas. Let Jose and Kolick run point guard. Release Mike Brown and get Mike Malone. Shit. Basically, you saying bring Thibodeau back. Mike Malone ain't on that. He might not talk to you either. You know?
He and Thibodeau are on the same staff together. They have practically the same coach.
Yeah. Head, I appreciate you for the win. Knick fans are impatient. Brand new coach, and it's finals or bust. Yeah, but the owner said that.
And the window is open. You don't have to deal with Halliburton. Tatum's been gone most of the year. I mean, you're not going to have those luxuries forever. Like you got to, when the brass ring is within reach, you got to seize it. You can't just, chalk it up to, oh, well, whatever excuse you want to make. You have to take what's there. And right now the window is open, but the Knicks don't seem like they want to walk through it.
Yeah. It seems like the entire offense goes cold at the same time. It's hard to watch. It's happened much too often for me. We in third place, but still I don't like it. And we're in third place because of a tiebreaker with Cleveland, right? We have the same record with Cleveland. We could easily be in the fourth place. My account got hacked too. That's why I deleted my X account 2 years ago. Oh, wow. That's exactly what I mean, they giving me a hard time. They actually said, you could tell I'm still tight. You can tell I'm still tight. They was like, basically, you're emailing us too much. Don't email us again for another week. What the hell? A week? What? So,
why does it take that long? Right. What's going on?
Right. So what do you? My issue is legit or it's not. Like I don't. Oh man. Oh. All right. Okay. All right. Because I want to. Yes, Knick Nation, about the accounts being, yeah. I mean, it's for you guys, those that listen to me on X, because I could do without it. Because for me, it's just more about coming here, chilling with Geoff, Ajay, Knick Nation, Escard, Delusional, Ajay, like whoever, just rocking with my people, rocking with the chat. But fine. He watching, yeah, him and Tibbs, they doing it together. They having sleepovers, slumber parties, watching game tape, and he not even coaching. Yeah, Mike Brown in the night. It remind me of my My grandmother used to say about my aunt, she's look at her smiling, always somewhere with her teeth skit back. Like always somewhere smiling wide. Listen, at the end of the day, Mike Brown is going to be judged by how the Knicks perform in the playoffs. And this team, not just Mike Brown, the players have to perform too, right? That's how they're going to be judged. And so let's get through these 25 games. Let's get to the playoffs so we can really get to see what this team is about, though they do need a little more tinkering, though, for sure. Any last words, Geoff?
Well, shout out to the chat. Queen, just all the way from Africa, y'all. This is commitment. Like, y'all don't even know. Like, these shows are not easy to put together. They think they just turn on the switch and it goes, but there's a lot that goes on. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be on this journey. And look, it was a disappointing loss, but it doesn't crater the whole season. Like, there's no need to panic or anything like that. We're still in a good spot. We have some work to do, but this is a capable team, and hopefully we'll see them reach their potential.
Yeah. Anna Grill is he's doing the X method. He's gonna punish you now. I would tell Bridges I would sit him and blow up his streak if he continues to avoid all contact.
He had 6 free throws last night, which is like more than his career total. Come on, he got to the line 3 times. Problem was he couldn't hit anything from the field, but he got to the free throw line last night.
All right. Dwayne Dennis, that's exactly what I'm saying. Sohan doesn't move the needle, and Alvarado only brings defensive pressure. That's it. Nah, he brings more than defensive pressure. He can handle the rock, and he can run an offense. His shooting, I just wish he would shoot better, and he was 6'5". I mean, but we can't do anything about 6'5". Hopefully that shot will come along. But I think it's more than defensive pressure, don't you, Geoff?
Yeah, I do. But if he was 6'5" and he could shoot like that, he would be all NBA, and then you wouldn't have gotten him at the trade deadline for a bag of chips or whatever it was that we traded for.
Well, we might have been able to get him for Mikhail, though. Maybe.
Yeah, we might have been.
In a package. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the opportunity to do these, recap show. I think it's about, if you're familiar with the channel, we're really trying to create a channel where it's about the panel and the chat, and so that we're all in here together. You won't find a lot of interviews with others. You won't find a lot of slides and things like that. My thought when I created this channel was about sitting around talking Knicks. If you've ever been to a barbecue, if you've ever been to a wedding, and you're like, what are they doing in that table in the back? They talking about the Knicks. That's what they doing. You're in the baby shower. Where's so-and-so? They somewhere huddled up talking about the Knicks. And that's kind of what I want for this channel. It's just a conversation. We just in here kicking it, or as I like to say, nicking it, talking about our team. And some may want to be more stat oriented. You're welcome. Some may want to come in here and be like, I don't like that so-and-so is wearing Skechers. You're welcome. Whatever your level of analysis is, you are welcome here. Let's just keep it respectful. We a team. The Knicks is falling apart. We will remain a team over here.
Amen.
Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Shout out to the chat. Geoff, you already know, the replay gang, the silent listeners. Until next time, peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
What?